larva molt several times to accommodate the growth. At the end of the larval stage, final molt may occur with the pupa emerging. The great transformation is occurring. The developing wings can often be seen, as can the compound eyes, antenna, mouth parts, and legs. At the eclosion, the adult emerges within the hours, the wings unfurled and becoming stronger as the veins dry and stiffens the wing, and the exoskeleton dries, hardens, and gains the pigments also in the particular exoskeleton. So, like this, we see the transformation of egg stage to the adult stage. And when we come across the first, whatever the nymph we are saying, it is a developmental stage where the complete one we see in the holo, incomplete one we'll see in the uh, hemimetabolous. But the term can be used to describe any developmental stage, including pupa or imago, depending on the life cycle completion in that particular insect. So here when we see the egg, small caterpillar, large caterpillar, pupa, and the adult stages, ametabolous, we are considering it as an where the insects emerge from the eggs into immatures of virtually the same shape, and it remains as the adults like that only till the adult stage. They will be as same as how they have born from the egg. So they are considered ametabolous because the insects simply get bigger and do not undergo any distinct rearrangement of segments of body structures like wings or any antenna or any shape doesn't change between the immature to adult stages. Then we will call it as ametabolous metamorphosis. So when we describe about the particular egg stage, when we want to describe about the egg stage, we say that eggs are laid on plants Eggs are laid on plants by the adult female butterfly. These plants will then become the food for hatching caterpillars. So these eggs can be laid from spring, summer, or fall. This depend on the species of butterfly. And females lay a lot of eggs at once so that at least some of them survive. So eggs can be like that. We see on laying that egg stages, we will be seen on the laid on the branches of the trees, leaves of the trees, or the trunks of the trees, like that. So that we will describe it as an egg stage. Coming to the larval stage of insects, primary functions are to eat and grow, worm-like appearance, possess series of simple eyes, chewing, sucking mouth parts, a pair of very short antenna, and sometimes three pairs of true legs are also present, which are always the legs in the insects are attached to the thoracic region. Developing wings are hidden in the cuticle. So like this, we'll see the larval stages of insects. And when we come to the pupa stage, When the caterpillar is fully grown and stops eating, it becomes a pupa. And the pupa of the butterflies is also called as chrysalis. Depending on the species of the pupa butterflies are also called as chrysalis. And depending on the species of the pupa, may suspended under a branch, hidden in the leaves, or buried under the ground also. The pupa of many moths is protected inside a cocoon of the silk also. Like that, we see in different types of insects, the pupa is being formed like an protective layer on that particular larval stage. And like that, the pupal stage will be protected in that particular cocoons, for example, in silkworms. So this stage of pupal can last for a few weeks also, sometimes in few days, in particularly if we take the silkworm, days only, like few weeks in some, and a month or even longer also in some other insects. So some species have a pupal stage that lasts for 2 years also. So they remain in the pupa for 2 years also. So special cells that were present in the larva are now growing rapidly. So they'll become the legs, wings, eyes, and other parts of the adult butterfly. Many of the original larval cells will provide energy for these growing adult cells. So this is the stage of the pupal where we will be seeing larval enclosion in that particular pupas. So coming to the adult stage is also called as imago. He is often capable of moving quite long distances in order to colonize new areas, and insects may perform special routines in order to find or attract a mate. So like that, we see the emergence of the whatever the larva emergence occurs from pupa is in the adult form. So after mating, the fertilization again happens and eggs are laid. Usually, the process will continue. So this is a simple example of what we will write about the reproduction, how it takes place in this particular insect's life cycle, with the definitions and the types of metamorphosis which is taking place. So here coming to the control of growth and the metamorphosis when we are describing. After describing this particular insect stages, we will come across the four control of growth endocrine glands also in them. That is the main hormone which we see is an ecdysone. This particular ecdysone hormone is the secreted by the prothoracic glands, and this particular gland will call it as an secreting, and prothoracic gland is secreting an molting hormone called ecdysone. So this ecdysone hormone uh, secreted by the tissues in the body, and example in the ovaries of mosquitoes and the locusts, these sources are not considered to influence the molting, but ecdysone initiates the growth and changes in the cells concerned with the molting. So it depends upon the uh, every insect will have an prothoracic gland where this particular hormone is secreted, but the function wise we see the differences in the uh, their functions. So even we see the juvenile hormone that is called as an corpora ellata secrete this particular juvenile hormone and inhibits the development of adult characteristics in the larval instars. So this uh, juvenile hormone we will see in hemimetabolous insects, where we see the lot of changes, and holomotobolous insects also, where we come across little changes in them. So here the juvenile hormone uh, is also important in the growth and the development of the particular insect. So one more hormone what we will see is that eclosion hormone. This eclosion hormone is a neuropeptide. It is also absorbed in several moths, this eclosion hormone. And this particular hormone influences the pupal adult ecdysis and also sometimes behaviors. Hormone also depend upon the behavior of the insect, and the same it also plays an important role in the ecdysis. Whenever they lost, some molting takes place in the body. And one more is an tanning hormone. It is also an hormone which is neurosecretory and released from the insect tissues. And this particular hormone is the one which is important in the cuticle formation, and it plays an important role in the ecdysis. So we come across these many hormones playing an important role. And when we see the what is diapause, the word diapause is used in the insects. The ability of insects to survive during the unfavorable conditions, and wherever then there is no food, lack of food, or climatic condition doesn't support, in state of arrested development, they'll remain, is called as diapause. Whenever there is lack of food or lack of climatic conditions are not suitable. So this the physiological, biochemical, and behavioral adaptation released with the diapause is regulated by the hormones. So here also the hormones play important role. So this particular diapause stage, when we keep the silkworm eggs in some temperature, they will under the diapause stage only until we take those silkworm laid cards. The silkworm lay the eggs on the cards, so that cards, when we take them to the favorable temperature conditions and the feed, wherever there is an feed available, then only the particular hormones get released in that particular egg, and it starts the stage which has to be come out of the egg, from that egg. So this particular condition where the neurohormone is not being stimulated, and that neurosecretory cells are under the arrest in the diapause stage, and whenever we are taking them to the conditions which where they can grow well, then only that particular neurotic hormone is being released, and the insect is undergoing the metamorphosis in that particular place. And we see the one more thing in the um, insects, that is polymorphism. What is an polymorphism means? Polymorphism means many forms. So the definition will only, the term only mentions that poly is many, morphism means forms. So many forms we'll see in particular insects, we'll call it as an polymorphism. So sexual dimorphism is the one which mainly plays an important role in the polymorphism. And we see in the crickets, majorly crickets, will undergo this particular with the help of juvenile hormone. Many types of integument formation in them. So that particular thing where this slight variations are seen, we are calling it as an polymorphic insects. In honeybees also we see the polymorphism, like there will be in the life cycle of the insects, there will be an nutrition dependent quantity and quality makes them to become a polymorphs depending on the nutrition or nutritive substance. One of the insect will become taking the feed of royal jelly, it becomes the queen of the colony. So that where we see the workers, and there are also drones like this in the life cycle of the honeybee. We see drones which are acting like in males, and workers which visit the flowers and get the honey, and queen bee which feed on nutritive substance of honey, that is called royal jelly, and become a queen of that pollen. So like this we see uh, different potentiality to develop to the queen, and others are becoming drones and the workers. Like that we see the polymorphism. Mainly we can give the example in the honeybees. In the insects, we see the role of pheromones also, where this particular glands will be playing an important role in the reproduction process. So the pheromone glands also, we are the individual population where this particular gland will be responsible for attracting the individuals of opposite sexes for promoting and mating the particularly in the moths and the butterflies. This particular pheromone glands we will see. So depending on the insect, we see the aphrodisiac scent glands in the um, legs of the abdomen of the butterflies, and this particular gland will be acting like an pheromone. The scent emitted by that particular gland will be attracting the opposite sex. And some insects will have the mandibular glands. These particular mandibular glands also are the ones which we say that the stimulate the behaviors in the workers, and this queen bee will be secreting this mandibular glands, and the workers will be stimulated by this particular gland. Like this we see the mandibular glands also playing an important role in the honeybees. And other than this mandibular glands, we also see the Nassenhoff's gland in the worker honeybees beneath the intersegmental membrane of the abdomen, and Dufault's gland is also present in these particular honeybees. So the pheromones are we say as in sex attractants, And earlier also, these pheromones we will be discussing in attracting the male insects. This uh, the role of this particular pheromones. Mm, for example, in Bombix mori, we see this one, and the chemical nature of the pheromones is the several insects is known compound. Like for example, if it is an Apis mellifera queen, oxodecanoic acid will play an important role. And pheromones attracting the female insects is also sometimes secreted in some male insects. That is the order belonging to the Mecoptera, the Arbobitacus insect will be in this particular insect. We see the female attractant pheromones produced in that particular insect, and we also see the pheromones attracting both the senses in beetles, like Dendrocotonus and Lycus beetles. This Lycus insects population, uh, yellow color beetle will be having both the sexes having the same attractant, like male and female. Both will have the same pheromone. And when we discuss about the pheromones, are also the main ones of the social insects. Like pheromones are social communication between the insect. We can also see it is a media or the one which is helpful in maintenance of the colony. So in ant trials also, we see the diffuse gland secretion in the ants, and in the termites also, the termites are present in rotten wood. So those termites also have the pheromones, where the queen Calotermus produces the particular hormone which will be replacement of the reproductives. And we also see the queen substance. Queen honeybees also produce pheromones, controlling the social structure of a colony. And the build emergency, like whenever within the this particular queen bee is being produced with this pheromone, the substance will be spreaded over on that particular honey hive, and that is licked by the workers, and this licking uh, each other, that pheromone is very quickly distributed around the colony of the beehive. So like that, pheromone will be implemented to the whole beehive in the colony. So what are the glands which will play an important role in the secretion of salivary glands and the accessory reproductive glands? When we talk, we see the even though they are salivary glands, they have an function of the main secretion of them will be uh, importance in the reproductive gland. So these salivary glands, which are labial glands and the principal salivary glands in the insects, they secrete the digestive enzymes that are of maxillary glands and the labial glands, and along with them, the one more gland which is important for the development of the insect is reproductive gland, where we come across the two accessory glands developed in the reproductive system. So when we see the endocrine glands of this particular insects, how they act, these hormones, and endocrine glands are also known as ductless glands, secrete the chemo messengers called the hormones. These are the hormones where the nervous system regulate the physiological and behavior responses in the insect, and the insect's physiological and behavioral responses are one which are mediated by the nervous system, and this nervous system regulate the body activities that require quick responses, and also the muscular activities, and they also have an the activity related to the development, growth, reproduction, and metabolism. But even though the major endocrine glands are the brain neurosecretory brain cells called located in the protocerebrum, are the one which are related to the corpora aorta or corpora cardiaca. These two different, other than the prothoracic glands, all these three will play an important role in the insect. These particular hormones usually act on brain, and these neurosecretory cells which are there in the brain play an important role to develop and feeding habit of blood sucking nature or any other nature which is to be initiated in that particular in a insect to survive. So these are the ones, and also the corpus cardiacum and corpus elotum. We have studied about the juvenile hormone, which is regulating the metamorphosis and yolk deposition in the eggs. And prothoracic glands, when we talk about the prothoracic glands, they have an exemption in the pterygotes. So like this, we can the differentiation of the glands, we can make it out, and that whatever we have discussed about the endocrine glands and their hormones, we come across the exocrine glands also. The specific location or origin is scattered over the insect body, but they have an correlation with its function of the insect. We see major kinds of exocrine glands are wax glands, lag glands, cephalic glands, silk glands, reproductive glands, salivary glands, etc., which can be grouped as follows, like what we see, like wax glands, where this wax glands plays an important role in the Hymenoptera. Hymenoptera means honeybee, where they will construct the beehive with the help of the wax secreted from the wax secreted fluids excreted through the fine cuticular pores of the hind legs, not the forelegs, hind legs. And this particular, whatever the secretion has been happened, will become a tough and next one is a lac gland. Where last class we have discussed about this lac gland. This is also a particular gland which is secreted in the cardia lacca. It is also an insect which is secreting the cells distributed all over the integument. And the amount of wax, pigments, proteins, inorganic materials, all these things will help in secretion of lac. And we also see the silk glands. Talking about the silk gland, we see in the Lepidoptera and even in the Trichoptera, the labial glands are modified into organs of producing the silk utilized in the formation of larval shelters and the cocoon. So these glands, the ones which will be secreted by the labial glands in the form of fibrinogen, which undergoes the denaturation on extrusion. They form into a tough elastic protein fibrion and is surrounded by a layer of water soluble gelatinous protein called the sericin. So, sericin is the outer layer, and fibrin is a one more protein, which both will be with combination. Whatever the silk used by the silkworm will be toughened and formed into an cocoon. And we also see the glands relating to the defense materials in the insects, where some insects emit an pungent smell, others will have an repellent properties. Like that, they are the ones which are secreted in the silk gland will have an repugnatorial glands, and we also see the glands secreting the materials for communication in the insects. So many insects possess the glands that secrete the chemicals which acts as an signals of various sorts for other members of the same intra-specific species or different species. They can be identified with this particular uh, secretion. So this also we will see in these particular insects. And on the basis of these diverse groups of cells and the tissues that secrete a wide variety of substance, we are calling them as an gland cells. So the main basis of the mode of discharge of their secretion is the one where we are making them into classify as exocrine and endocrine. So we see the exocrine and the endocrine glands playing an important role. So if you have any doubts regarding this, I'll clarify. And I'll go to the next topic of the life cycle of mosquito. So we come across a very important topic in this particular reproductive process, the life cycle of mosquitoes, where the mosquitoes undergo the complete metamorphosis like egg, larva, pupa, and the adult stages, where we see that on the stagnant waters, these mosquitoes in and around the colonies or any ponds, we see them laying the eggs, and on the surface of the waters, we see for 2 to 3 days these particular eggs will be floating on the waters, and then after that we'll see the stage of larva, and that larva will be having a siphon for breathing, staying in the waters. It will take the respiration with this particular siphon which is shown in the figure. And we also see the after particular 5 to 7 days it will undergo the pupa stage, and then it develops into an after 1 to 2 days it develops into an adult. So we see the feeding stage, quiescent stage, transformation stage, where we see the larva undergoing the pupal stage on the surface, and then we will call it as an reproductive stage, like adult is formed. So, how we can identify the larval forms basing on the uh, body structures or inclination where they are been the larval have been laid, and the sitting position of the adult will help us to identify the larva um, to be what it is. It is of Anopheles or Aedes or Culex or Mansonia. Usually we come across three species here that will larva will float horizontally suspended in the waters. The siphon tube is attached to the rootlets of this particular larva, and the life cycle will be 2 days only in Anopheles, 5 to 7 days in Aedes, Culex also, and Mansonia also. And the shape of the pupa will be comma shaped in all. The siphon tube will be present very short in Anopheles and long and narrow in all other three, Aedes and Culex and Mansonia. And coming across the life cycle, it will be 1 to 2 days in every. So the uh, resting position of that particular insect will make us to identify which which adults is that belonging to Anopheles or Aedes or Culex. So the resting position will be of 45 degrees inclined position will be seen in the Anopheles. But this particular Aedes, Culex and Mansonia, they will be having an hunchback inclination, Wings will be spotted in Anopheles, and the wings will be unspotted in the Aedes culex and the Mansonia. And coming to the palpi, they will be long in both the sexes, short in female of this particular Aedes culex and Mansonia. So here I am showing the diagrammatic figure of the larval stages, how they will differ in different stagnant waters when they have been laid with the eggs, how these positions of the larva will be underneath. So why we are being studied with this particular insect is it is a major mosquito-borne diseases we see around with the malaria that is caused with the Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, and Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium ovale. So this particular insect is causing malarial fever in the patients, and filarias is also where we will come across the Wuchereria bankruptcy, where this particular transmission will occur through the Culex mosquito. We also come across the virus as an J virus, which is occurring through this particular mosquitoes, and that is caused due to the Culex species, and dengue also dengue virus with the Aedes mosquito. Aedes mosquito is causing the dengue fever. So there are three stages what we see in this particular female mosquitoes when they feed on the blood of the humans or any other animals. They obtain the blood meal and lay the eggs directly on the nearby waters. And this eggs can survive in the dry conditions also for few months. And whatever the egg hatches, the mosquito larva, will call it as an wriggler. And the certain temperature, food, and that depends on that the this wrigglers will emerge from the waters. And we also see the pupa stage, and finally mosquito emerges from that particular pupal cases after 2 days. And sometimes it may take 4 days also, depending on the temperatures. So any doubts regarding? అది పెట్టున్నాను బ్యాంకుది ఇండియన్ బ్యాంక్ పెట్టు అందులో డిపాజిట్ ప్రైమరీ ఇండియన్ బ్యాంక్. So we have completed about the reproduction in the insect. Shall we move on to any other topic? One more, the stored grain pests. We are going to discuss about the pests of stored grains, where we come across the red flow beetle, Tribolium castinium, where this particular cereal product will be widespread. This particular pest we'll see throughout the world, and the grain will be broken or damaged during the threshing or shelling or by attack of the weevils or moths. And this particular beetles, where we come across the tribolium, are having a flat abdomen region and brown in color. And these eggs we can identify in laying this particular insect laying the eggs in the flour, suji, and maida also. And they are more sticky when freshly laid, and small particles of dust and the floor wrap also we will see around that particular insects. And the body segments are with the fine hairs, and larva will be pale yellow in color. Generally, the pupation we'll see on the surface of the foot, and the pupa will be naked in color. Adult will be having an oblong chestnut brown color, head, thorax, and abdomen distinct regions. So, like this, we come across red flow beetle as a one stored grain pest, which mainly we will see in the um, attacking the products. And the other one is rice moth, that is Corsaira cephalonica. This Corsaira cephalonica is belong to the Lepidoptera order, and the adult will be of moth, pale yellowish brown, dark lines along the length of the wings. This caterpillar damages the stored food by moving, feeding, and leaving silken threads in the stored food. And we also see a dense and tough webbings formation, and the larva enters the food where silken galleries are formed, and the infestation we can identify very easily with the galleries formation around the food. And we also see the starchy content. We also see the Calosobruchus chinensis, which is also called as an pulse beetle, where this particular larval forms are found in pulses. And Calosobruchus chinensis is very common in India, and the mark of identification will be ivory spots near the middle of the body, and there will be a short antenna and head small, and pectinate antennas we will see. And this particular female beetles will make whole seeds into an to lay the eggs. They make an whole live in the inside the grain, making an whole seeds for the oviposition they will utilize. And these freshly laid eggs will be very translucent, smooth, and shining inside the particular grain when we observe. And with the naked eye, also, we can see under the microscope, also, we can see those eggs inside the grains of pulses. Larva feeds on the cotyledons and undergoes four molts before pupation. And this gives an appearance of lid or a dark spot-like structure in the grain. So like this, we see the Calosobruchus chinensis, which is an pulse beetle attacking the pulses mostly. The one more pulse beetle what we come across in the particular grains is one more is an Augumus, where it is also called as an Sterotroga cerealia. This moth also leaves an scar mark on the grain. It also feeds on the endosperm of the inside part of the grain, and this adult form will be having and wings completely folded, and this will be mostly attacked uh, in the this ripening grains of the wheat, maize, like that, and they will leave an eggs like creamy white in color and cigar shaped. Inside the grains, this larva spins and cocoon, and the whole grain will be damaged with this particular uh, attack of this particular moth to the grain, and limits wherever the infestation is there. We will see um, kernel, that is grain kernel, will be falling down with this infestation, and like that it will be uh, uh, causing a major damage to the crop. So this stored grain also is an one uh, more pest which is attacking the stored grain pest. Four are majorly we can be easily remember. One is tribolium, red floor beetle, rice moth, Corsaira, cephalonica, and third one pulse beetle, Calosobruchus chinensis, and one more is wheat grain moth, that is an Titotroga seriella. Like stored grain pests, we come across even the horticultural pests also, like okra, that is lady's finger, is attacked by the Arius vitella species of insect, which also damages the whole fruit, entering through the hole, making an hole in the particular okra, and infest the full inside the with the egg. And this Arius vitella will have an infestation during the buds formation only. When the infestation occurs during the buds formation, the whole lot of shoots will be falling down, and there will be an very much damage occur to the particular plants. Sometimes even after the fruit have been developed, then also they'll make an entrance hole and leave the whole okra without any it is not useful for the next genera. We cannot use it, or it will be sometimes whenever that infestation occurs, the damaged fruit will be uh, mm, curved. We will see the curved like structure occurring to the okra. And brinjal is also one more horticulture pest which is attached to the brinjal shoot, and it is called as a epilancha. This epilancha is also having different species of uh, in the insect. This epilancha insect is also of different species. They'll also have an reddish, yellowish elytra on the particular body of the This particular insect will look like an beetle, and this particular grubs also make an spike projection into the fruit, and they will be leaving and blackish uh, eggs keeping on there. The sometimes damaged shoot will be showing the particular laying of the eggs, or we can fruit means, that is brinjal means, we can see the entrance holes on the fruit only, and we can make it out the sometimes the egg stages, and sometimes even the pinkish larval forms inside the fruit. This particular species are belong to the epilantia. And when we see the chilies, chilies also have an Thripidae family damage caused by the uh, Chirotothrips, where these particular thrips also damage the chili plants, and they also make the holes in the chili. These make the leaves, uh, tender leaves into and folded ones, and making the branches being attacked with the stunted growth, and even buds and flowers may drop. Like that, we see the damage occurring to the chili. Mainly what we see around in our environment is with the citrus butterfly, which is called as uh, a lemon yellow in color. They will be moving around our places. This particular butterfly's scientific name is Papillodomylus. Papillodomylus is an one particular species which occurs with an patch on the butterfly wings, and there will be a lot of damage will occur to the citrus plants due to this particular butterfly. There will be an silky girdle formations, or eggs are laid on the leaves and twigs, and the larval forms are also dark green in color, moving on the citrus plants, and they also do the much damage to the twigs, and the appearance of this particular larva will be identified with the markings like an bird's excreta on the freshly formed leaves and all that. So we see like this horticulture pests also making and much damage to the plants. Like one is citrus, that is Papillodomylus, and brinjal with the Epilantia beetles, and okra with the Aereus insulana species, or Vitella species, both will damage. And coming to the brinjal, Leucinodes arbonalis. This is one more species which is causing the brinjals also damaged with this particular insect. Other than this, also we will come across mangoes or grapevine beetle attacked by the mealybug, which is called as an hirsutus, which causes a sooty covering on the grapevine branches. And this also will be seen on the branches of the pinkish nymphs moving on the branches of the grape creepers. These are also we see the heavily infested grape bunches losing their damage to the crop, and pinkish egg masses and waxy filaments on the branches of the creepers. Like this, the much damage will occur through the horticultural pests also, and with the stored grain pests also we see the 4 or 5 horticultural pests and 4 or 5 stored grain pests. You learn very well so that it will be useful for you as an entomology student to know about the pests regarding the stored grain and the horticulture.
Class completed, Amma.